Michael Torres had been teaching English at Lincoln High School for 22 years. Room 214, second floor, East Wing. The same classroom where he'd taught Shakespeare to teenagers who thought it was boring, where he'd convinced countless students that words mattered, that stories could save you. But this year there was a desk he couldn't bear to fill. Front row by the window. The desk where Lucas Garcia used to sit. It started the first day of school. Michael walked into his classroom, saw the empty desk, and without thinking said, "Good morning, Lucas." His new students looked confused. Michael didn't explain. He just opened his lesson plan and started teaching, his eyes occasionally drifting to that empty chair. The second day, he did it again. "Good morning, Lucas. We're reading Gatsby today. You would have loved this." A few students exchanged glances but said nothing. By the third week, it was routine. Every morning, Michael greeted the empty desk like Lucas was still there. Sometimes he'd share what they were discussing. Sometimes he'd just acknowledge the absence. "Morning, Lucas. Rough day ahead. Wish you were here." His students stopped finding it strange. They started to understand. That desk wasn't empty. It was full of everything Lucas should have been. Tommy Martinez, a senior who sat behind Lucas's desk, started filming it. Just a 15-second clip of Mr. Torres walking in, setting down his coffee, and saying, "Good morning, Lucas. Hamlet today." The to be or not to be speech. You would have had thoughts. Tommy posted it on TikTok with the caption, "My teacher talks to an empty desk every day. This is why." The why was explained in a second video. Lucas Garcia, 16 Jr., had died by suicide 8 months ago. Mr. Torres was his English teacher. The video went viral. 60 million views in a week. Comments poured in. "This is what grief looks like. Teachers carry so much. That empty desk is breaking my heart." When the producer from The Late Show called, Michael almost didn't answer. He hadn't wanted attention. The greeting wasn't for cameras. It was for Lucas. It was for himself. It was his way of saying, "I see you. I remember you. You mattered." But his principal convinced him, "Michael, people need to see this. They need to understand what we're all missing when we don't talk about mental health." So Michael found himself on a plane to New York, his first time leaving California in 5 years. He'd barely left his apartment in the 8 months since Lucas died, let alone the state. The green room at the Ed Sullivan Theater felt surreal. Michael sat in a chair, his hands shaking. He was 43 years old, but he felt ancient. Grief had aged him in ways he couldn't articulate. A production assistant brought him water. "Mr. Torres, 5 minutes." Michael nodded, his throat tight. He'd spent 22 years teaching students to find their voice. Now he had to find his own. The stage lights were overwhelming. David Letterman stood to greet him, and Michael was struck by the warmth in his handshake. This wasn't just television. This felt like someone actually seeing him. "Michael, thank you for being here," David said as they both sat. "I know this isn't easy." "Nothing's been easy for a while," Michael said quietly. "Let's talk about Lucas. Tell me about him." Michael took a breath. Lucas was brilliant. Genuinely brilliant. He could analyze a text in ways that surprised me, and I've been teaching for over 2 decades. He wanted to be an English teacher, just like me. He'd stay after class and we'd talk about books, about teaching, about what it meant to help kids find themselves through stories. "He sounds remarkable." He was. Michael's voice cracked. He was also in pain, and I didn't see it. Or I saw it and didn't know what I was seeing. Or I knew and didn't know how to ask. "When did you find out?" "April 23rd, I was grading papers at home, Sunday evening. My phone rang. It was our principal. "Michael, I have some terrible news. Lucas Garcia died last night." Just like that. 5 words that ended the world. David let the silence sit. "How did he die?" "Suicide. He hanged himself in his garage. His mother found him." Michael's voice was flat, the emotion scooped out by repetition. He'd said these words so many times to police, to counselors, to other students, to himself in the mirror at 3 a.m. He left a note, not to me, to his family. It said he was tired, that he couldn't keep pretending to be okay. Pretending? That's what kills me. Michael looked directly at David. He was good at pretending. He smiled, he laughed, he participated, he was on the soccer team, he had friends, everyone said they never saw it coming, but I'm his teacher. I'm supposed to see things. Michael, depression is... I know it's not my fault. Everyone's told me. The therapist I started seeing, my colleagues, Lucas's family. But that doesn't change the fact that I saw him every day for 2 years and never asked if he was okay. David leaned forward. What do you say to the empty desk? Every morning? Michael closed his eyes. I tell him what we're reading. I tell him he would have loved the discussion. I apologize. Every single day I say, I'm sorry, Lucas. I should have seen you. I should have asked if you were okay. Sometimes I tell him about other students, about the kid who's struggling like he did, about the one I pulled aside yesterday to ask if they needed to talk. I tell him I'm trying to do better, to be better. You think he hears you? I don't know, but I need to say it because I can't say it to him. The audience was completely silent. This wasn't entertainment. This was a teacher carrying guilt that was crushing him. Michael, I want to ask you something, and if this is too much, you can say no. David's voice was gentle. Is Lucas's family here tonight? Michael's head snapped up. What? We reached out to Lucas's mother, Maria Garcia. She asked if she could come. She wants to meet you. Michael stood up so fast his chair almost tipped. No, David, I can't. But Maria Garcia was already walking onto the stage. She was 42 years old, small, with dark hair pulled back and eyes that held an ocean of grief. She wore a simple black dress and clutched a notebook to her chest. Michael froze. In 8 months, he'd avoided Lucas's family. At the funeral, he'd stood in the back, unable to approach them. He'd written a letter he never sent. He'd started 100 texts he never finished. How do you face the mother of a child you failed to save? Mrs. Garcia, Michael whispered, I'm so sorry. I failed your son. I should have. Maria held up her hand, stopping him. Her voice was steady, stronger than Michael expected. Mr. Torres, I wanted to meet you because you're the only one who hasn't forgotten him. What? Everyone moved on. The school had an assembly. Friends posted tributes for a week. Then life continued. But you, her voice caught, you still say good morning every day, like he's still here, like he still matters. He does matter. I know, but you're the only one acting like it. Maria stepped closer, holding out the notebook. I found this after he died. It's his journal, from last year. There's an entry about you. I thought you should read it. Michael's hands trembled as he took the notebook. The cover was worn, pages dog-eared. Lucas's handwriting, small, precise, the same handwriting that had filled dozens of essays Michael had graded. Maria opened to a marked page. Read this one, from February. Michael read silently at first, then David said gently, Would you read it out loud, so we can hear Lucas's voice? Michael nodded, tears already falling. He began, February 14th. Mr. Torres asked me today what I wanted to be when I grew up. I said a teacher, like him. He said I'd be great at it. That I had the passion, the insight, the ability to see into stories the way good teachers do. That was the first time in months anyone said I'd be great at something. Everyone else just tells me I'm fine, that I should be happy, that I have so much going for me, but they don't see that I'm drowning. Mr. Torres sees me, really sees me when we talk about books. I almost told him today, almost said, I'm not okay. I think about dying all the time. I'm scared. But I didn't want to burden him. He's always so positive, so full of hope. I didn't want to be the kid who brought darkness into his classroom. So I smiled and said thank you and left. And I hate myself for not being brave enough to tell him the truth. Michael couldn't continue. He lowered the journal, his whole body shaking. He wanted to tell me. He almost told me. But he didn't, Maria said softly. Not because you failed him. Because he loved you too much to burden you. That's what he wrote. You made him feel seen, Mr. Torres. You made him feel like he mattered. And when he died, you kept making him matter. You kept his desk. You kept saying his name. You kept him alive in the only way you could. But I should have known. We all should have known. Maria's voice broke now. I'm his mother. I lived with him. I made him breakfast. I hugged him goodnight. And I didn't see it either. His father didn't see it. His friends didn't see it. His coaches didn't see it. We all missed the signs because he was so good at hiding them. You didn't fail him, Mr. Torres. The world failed him, but you're the only one trying to make it right. David stood, giving them space. The audience watched, many crying openly, as a teacher and a mother shared a grief neither of them should have to carry. I don't know how to stop feeling responsible, Michael admitted. You don't stop, Maria said. You learn to carry it differently. You turn it into action. I saw what you've been doing, talking to the empty desk, but I also heard you started pulling students aside, asking if they're okay, really asking, listening. That's not guilt, Mr. Torres. That's love. That's you making sure no other parent gets the phone call I got. Michael looked at her. This woman who'd lost everything, who was somehow comforting him. How do you not hate me? Because you loved my son. I read his journals, all of them. He wrote about you in dozens of entries, about your classes, your discussions, the way you made literature feel alive. You were one of the brightest parts of his life. And now you're making sure he's not forgotten. Why would I hate someone who keeps my child's memory alive? She reached into her purse and pulled out a photograph. Lucas in his soccer uniform, smiling, holding a book, The Great Gatsby. He took this the day you finished that unit. He said it was his favorite book because of how you taught it. I want you to have this, put it on his desk, so you can see his face when you say good morning. Michael took the photo with shaking hands. Lucas's smile, frozen in time, looking directly at the camera, looking at him. One more thing, Maria said. She opened the journal again to the very last entry. He wrote this the day before he died. I think you need to hear it. She began to read. I've decided. I'm going to talk to Mr. Torres tomorrow. I'm going to tell him I'm not okay, because if anyone will understand, it's him. He talks about how literature saves people. Maybe talking will save me. I'm scared, but I'm going to try. Tomorrow, I promise myself. Tomorrow, I'll be brave. Maria closed the journal. He was going to tell you. He just ran out of time. The studio was silent except for the sound of people crying. Michael stood there, holding a photograph of a boy who'd wanted to be saved, who'd planned to reach out, who just needed one more day. David spoke quietly. Michael, you didn't fail Lucas. Time failed him. But you haven't failed his memory. Every morning you give him what none of us can, a tomorrow. He doesn't get tomorrows anymore, but you make sure his today still exists. After the show, backstage, Maria hugged Michael. Thank you for loving my son, and please stop apologizing, start teaching, start saving the kids who are like Lucas was. That's what he'd want. Michael returned to Lincoln High a week after the episode aired. Room 214 felt different somehow. Lucas's desk was still empty, but now the photograph sat there, and next to it Michael placed a sign. The listening desk. Sit here if you need to talk. The first day, no one sat there. The second day, a girl named Sophie sat down before class. Mr. Torres, can I talk to you after? Of course. She stayed after. She sat at Lucas's desk and told Michael she'd been thinking about hurting herself, that she felt alone, that she didn't know who else to tell. Michael listened, really listened. Then he helped her, called the counselor, called her parents, stayed with her until she felt safe. Sophie wasn't the last. Over the next year, 17 students sat at the listening desk, 17 conversations, 17 students who were struggling, who needed someone to notice, who needed permission to not be okay. Michael started a program, Lucas's Legacy, mental health awareness, check-ins with students, training for teachers on recognizing warning signs, a hotline, a support group, all in Lucas's name. The empty desk stayed empty during lessons, but after school it was occupied almost daily by students who needed to talk, by students who needed to be seen. Michael still said good morning to Lucas every day, but now he added something. I'm trying, Lucas. I'm trying to do what you needed someone to do for you. I hope I'm making you proud. A year after the Late Show appearance, Maria came to visit the classroom. She sat at Lucas's desk, ran her hand over the surface, looked at her son's photograph. He is proud, she said. I know he is. How do you know? Because 17 kids are still alive. Because you turned your guilt into action. Because his empty desk isn't a memorial anymore, it's a doorway. Kids walk through it and come out the other side still living. Michael had learned something in the year since Lucas died. He'd learned that you don't get over grief. You don't heal from it. You just learn to carry it differently. You turn it into purpose. You make the pain mean something. Lucas's desk would always be empty during class. That space was sacred. But it would always be full after class, full of conversations, full of trust, full of kids who needed to know they weren't alone. On the anniversary of Lucas's death, the school held a ceremony. Michael spoke. He talked about warning signs, about asking if someone's okay, about really listening to the answer, about how depression lies, tells you you're a burden, convinces you no one will understand. Lucas was wrong, Michael said to the assembled students and parents. He thought telling me would burden me, but losing him destroyed me. If you're struggling, you're not a burden. You're a student I want to help, a person who deserves to be seen. Please don't be like Lucas. Don't wait for tomorrow to tell someone. Tell someone today. After the ceremony, 6 students approached him. 6 students who said they needed help. 6 students who sat at the listening desk in the coming weeks. Michael kept teaching for another 10 years. He retired at 53, but Lucas's legacy program continued. The listening desk is still in room 214 at Lincoln High. Teachers still greet it every morning. Students still sit there when they need help. And every year on April 23rd, Maria Garcia visits. She sits at her son's desk and reads from his journal. She shares his words with new students who never knew him. She makes sure Lucas isn't forgotten. Because that's what love does. It keeps showing up. It keeps saying good morning. It turns tragedy into purpose. It makes sure that an empty desk saves the students who sit in all the other desks. Michael never stopped feeling the weight of Lucas's death, but he learned to carry it alongside the weight of the 17 lives he helped save, the 43 students who sat at the listening desk over the years, the countless others who learned it was okay to not be okay. Lucas Garcia died at 16, but his legacy lived on, in a desk, in a photograph, in a program, in a teacher who turned grief into action. And every morning for the rest of his career, Michael Torres walked into room 214 and said, "Good morning, Lucas. Thank you for teaching me what I needed to learn." Because sometimes the students we can't save end up teaching us how to save everyone else.